Eddie, do it. Do the intro. Why do intro? Do it.
Welcome to the A.N.I.M.E. podcast. That stands for Doki Doki Heart Police 2021 Love is Future. That's the name of our new album. Please subscribe and like today.
This is definitely not how letters work, but sure.
I mean, maybe this is like Finnish A.N.I.M.E. words, things.
I agree.
Sure.
So apparently it's going to be Valentine's Day very soon, and we're all very excited for a number of different reasons. Mine include candy that is very cheap because apparently on the 15th of February, no one cares about buying candy for your loved ones anymore. I do. Shame on all of you. I can't wait. Also,
it's the 1-year anniversary of when the Sonic movie came out. Woo!
yay!
Last movie we saw in theaters. Before the literal fall of civilization.
This is pain. This is pain. I am both happy and sad the last movie we saw in theaters was the Sonic movie.
And on Valentine's Day, no less. What a nice date. What a nice date out with your love.
I hope you enjoyed that. That was the last time we were outside.
I know. What is outside? Is that a thing?
No, we only exist in the Fallout Vault now.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure outside is a myth. I'm pretty sure.
Figment of your both's imagination, because I'm not in your bubble, so I can't exist.
You're right.
Now, how do we even prove you exist? I mean, you exist as an eldritch entity anyway. We assume you have mind-controlling powers or memory-wiping powers.
Or memory creating powers, because all those memories I have, like, going to middle school and high school with you must just be entirely fabricated by the AI creating this simulation.
No, it's not an AI, it's her.
I mean, I can neither confirm or deny anything.
It's her, but she could be an AI. You don't know the nature of the god.
I mean, also this is 1 year ago I was in Japan.
Japan doesn't exist.
Maybe this whole time I've just made up the existence of Japan, and all of that media that has supposedly come out of Japan was secretly just some sort of mind control that was created by whatever A.N.I.M.E. is.
Now, did you create an infinite Tsukiyomi by using a Tsukiyomi jutsu on the moon to convince everyone that a country that doesn't exist exists and creates anime?
I mean, I can't confirm or deny anything.
Wow, this lore is getting so deep.
This is actually so much better than the ending of Naruto Shippuden. I'm just going to say that straight out. I hate Naruto Shippuden. That was one of the dumbest plot lines, in my opinion. But I prefer this one way more.
So this Valentine's Day, if you want a nice romantic anime to watch with your loved one, do not watch
Naruto Shippuden.
Naruto Shippuden, yes.
Yes.
There we go, I said it.
Want to play more about the couples in the show, too?
No, let's not do that. Because all of the couples are correct. There, I said it. Sakura deserved to be in a non-love-filled relationship with Sasuke, completely left alone. That is what she deserves. 100%.
I feel like you're just going to create a flame war, but...
I'm not doing that at all. I'm not doing that at all. Love is a beautiful and heartfelt thing, and Hinata won best boy, hands down, no contest.
I'm so lost.
But should we play more about Bleach couples?
No, don't do that. Don't do that to me, please. Bleach is just pain. We're not going to talk about best ships. I mean, we can. It is Valentine. We're on the Valentine's Day episode.
Yeah, that wasn't what we planned, but go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, honey, you watched a little bit of Naruto, right?
Yes.
Do you think that Naruto at that point in his life would be happier with Sakura or with Hinata?
So Hinata's the adorable one, right? Who just like simps really hard,
the
but
one
he
that helped him
doesn't...
on the test.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Naruto thinks he'd be happier with Sakura, even though Sakura has like zero characterization and is barely a person. But so he would want to, like, so initially up front he'd be happier because it'd be like the fulfillment of his dream. But Hinata seems very sweet and like she genuinely cares about him without him needing to grow on her. So I would say Hinata.
There we go. Best girl. Best girl. Take that, Naruto fans.
But I've watched like an 18th of the show.
That's enough.
Okay.
Do you
The biggest problem I
disagree?
have with Hinata is just the fact that I don't know. I guess I haven't watched enough of like Shippuden to really feel it, but like at least from what the point that I had gone to, I'm kind of like, how does Naruto actually fall in love with her? Because she always is kind of like in the background. She's never like in the forefront. So that's kind of like a question mark. I know that she interferes in like Pain's battle, but so do like a lot of other like characters like interfere in some sort of battle in some sort of way. So like, you know.
Maybe she was just some very nice wallpaper. You know?
That.
You ever
How
like
dare you?
well, the way she's describing
her participation in the pain battle, if I remember this correctly, there's been a lot of memory altering jutsu ever since Atnao used the infinite Tsukiyomi on the moon at the beginning of 2021. Did 2020 happen? I can't remember.
Did it?
I'm not sure anymore.
Or are we still in 2020?
And I can't tell now if I
honestly...
should thank you or I should be afraid that you erased a year from my mind.
I thank you.
Anyway, if I remember this correctly, Hinata's participation is as the last stand character before Naruto showed up in all of his superpowered glory and was severely injured in attempting to protect people from the Hidden Leaf Village before he arrived. So I think that's where it started. But there's a lot of other points in the series where they actually show that Naruto is a very he's not, I wouldn't say like self-centered. He's a very bullheaded character. He's very singular focused.
Oh, he is.
And it's very hard for him to take notice of other people and their motivations and ideas. And I feel like around the end of Shippuden is where he kind of grew out of that a little bit. And he started recognizing how much the people around him care for him, even though that's literally been the thing since the beginning of the show, is that he wants to prove himself to everyone. But there's like literally a family of people around him who love him for who he is.
It's kind of understandable, though, because before that family of people around him that loved him for who he is, he was just like the literal pariah. And no matter what he did, everyone was like, no.
No.
Just no. You are wrong. And we're not gonna tell you why. We're just gonna like treat you like dirt and then just never explain it. And you're just gonna like grow up being like, the only way I can have any value is to be the best and also be very obnoxious.
Also be the president.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna be the most obnoxious. You're not gonna be able to ignore me. I am just gonna be in your face.
Hold on 1 second. There's a lot of scuffling in the background right now on my end.
Oh, is that the doggo?
Yeah, give it a minute.
Okay.
No worries.
I mean, tell the doggo I said Happy Valentine's Day and that I love him.
Yeah, tell your homunculus thank you for his beloved adorableness. He is very well loved, and I hope to see him soon.
Doesn't exist. Nothing exists outside of your house.
Stop.
Oh,
Stop.
no.
This 2020 has... Wait, did 2020 happen? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Did a year pass? The clock says 2021. I don't remember.
We did a whole episode with this transition.
Did we? I thought that's when 2021 started.
It had the cool chainsaw thumbnail that A.N.I.M.E made.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
When did we make the other episodes?
In 2020, honey.
Are you sure?
Yes. Are you feeling all right?
We have to check the timestamps. I don't believe it. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I feel
And
like
then-
I woke up and it was 2021 and we had 4 episodes out and I'm very confused.
And then, in the first quinteenth of the year 2021, the caveman crawled out of the cave. It's just been been 2021 the whole time.
Rock.
Also,
Rock.
I don't
Rock
know.
says 2021.
I don't know if quinteenth is a fraction, but
Please make
All
fun
right,
of
the sound is
whimsy.
done, so...
if that's incorrect, please.
all right. Where is this going? Anime Valentine's Day. Cute doggo interruption. I love it.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, so, we were talking about Naruto.
Oh, that's right. Okay. And I think right around the end of Shippuden is probably around the time where you see a lot of growth for Naruto's character. It's really funny to me that there's a certain part with Sakura that just immediately like blows her out as a character and her motivations. It's really funny. I love that part. If you know which part I'm talking about, you understand. But sometime after like I would say the halfway mark in the story, he starts recognizing how much people care about him. And I think around that time too, he recognizes just how much he means to Hinata, like in general, aside from just her fascination, her obsession with him. And like there's real love there. And I think that's probably one of my favorite character things that series has done.
So are you saying that
Make Sakura and Sasuke make sense?
No.
Are you saying that Hinata is basically the female equivalent of like every male rom-com protagonist who just hopes that one day the best friend will notice him?
Notice me, senpai? I mean, I think they're the same age. I think Hinata might actually be older.
No, I wasn't talking about the
If you know if Hinata's supposed to be older than Naruto, please like and subscribe, and then put that in the comments, please.
I wasn't talking about the senpai trope. I was talking more about the rom-com trope, you know, where like there's the best friend and he's like, when will you love me? But she's just like, oh, you're my best friend, and then dates like other people.
Are you saying that Naruto is the pixie dream girl?
I guess I'm. I don't watch a lot of romance, so there's only so many things I can.
Why did you bring up the example?
I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. I'm just confused.
So am I. I swear this is a trope.
I was confused by like the age thing actually in Naruto, just because they say that Naruto like took like the exam to become like a Geni like several times. But they established that like everyone else in his team are the same age. So like, did he just like start taking the exam earlier than like everyone else's age? Question mark?
I assume yes. I assume that he attempted to rise past his most of the kids in the village that were his age multiple times. He just failed every time until that point.
Hold on 1 second. Do you like daddy issues? Do you like looking back at England and Scandinavia in the early 1000s? Then I've got the anime for you, Vinland Saga.
What were you saying?
You have the recording, so you could play it back.
True.
No. Remember.
I don't remember.
Remember.
I don't remember.
Remember who you are.
I don't remember. What were we talking about?
Remember who you are.
Who am I? I thought I didn't exist. I thought we were all a figment of Otno's imagination.
Why did the amnesia jutsu take effect during the end of January in 2021?
I don't know.
It was very strange. Now, what was your reasoning behind this?
Why would I tell you?
That is a good question. I would have to say that like part of the reason why that like character progression in Naruto is probably one of my favorites, is because it feels genuine to the characters themselves, and it's interesting in that like it's one of those times in which the manga actually feels kind of like a romance manga or an anime. It gets like that reaction out of you. You know what I mean? Like the one where it's like, oh, I'm just genuinely happy that these two characters are together. They recognize each other. It's like something really satisfying in that. I think that's part of the reason why I feel like people enjoy that genre of manga and anime. And since me and Whimsy have actually been watching some more shows of that genre, would you agree?
Well, we watched one together, yeah.
Yeah.
And you watched something as well.
Yes.
And I read
I can't remember what it was called. I think it was something basket. It's very hard
Veggie
to
basket.
Was it what is it? Kukatsu basket with the one with the blue-haired boy?
Meat basket.
I feel like I remember watching that, but I don't.
Biscuit basket.
There was a bunch of like anime boys, and there was a girl who lived in a tent. It's just really hard to remember.
Tent basket.
No, it's not tent basket.
Bread basket.
But yeah, would you agree, Whimsy?
With what? What are we even talking about?
Agree with? Would you feel like that's the kind of idea behind romance manga and anime? It's the effect where you were genuinely happy to see two characters be together or to recognize each other.
I would say that that's just the goal of romance plots in general. Other than, well, it kind of depends because there are the series where the goal is more just like the ongoing drama and people don't really end up together, or they do, but in a very baity way at the very end. So sometimes no, but in general, I feel like that's just the goal of romance in general, isn't it? Like just to be happy that two people are in love and make your heart go yay and woo, right? You were trying to set up. I feel like you were trying to set up this eloquent answer to come from me, and thanks. It just didn't.
I served it to you, and you just literally tried to bite the volleyball in the air. That's
okay. So what do you think, Eddie?
No, I'm not gonna. I've talked too much. I'm done. I have forgotten everything I want to talk about. My leg is asleep.
Oh.
Ah! My leg has also forgotten how to be a leg and has turned into a tree.
This episode has
been.
I feel
like my genjutsu is not working very well right now.
Yeah, is the simulation broken? Because this episode has not flowed or functioned very well. So
this is pain. This is what the pain of the heart feels like. Happy Valentine's Day! Please like and subscribe.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Please like and subscribe so that we can save Eddie's leg.
So now, in the romance anime you've seen or watched, would you feel like that's a general theme or a general idea that comes to fruition a lot of the time? It's when two characters have that moment where they see each other. I feel like it kind of surpasses the idea of like whether or not they actually get into a relationship. It's just I feel like there's a very interesting sincerity to when two characters recognize how much they mean to one another. Would you say that's true or not?
There is something to it especially when you know, I feel like in anime you often have like at least one person that's head is as thick as leather armor basically, and just nothing can get through. So like when they realize, it's like, oh my goodness, that is impressive. Not impressive that you figured it out, but impressive that it took you so long. Yeah, so I do think that like the success of it is very dependent on like series to series. I think a lot of it is the build up or like the amount of like character establishment that you have that's done good. I was watching season 2 of Kami-sama Kiss, and they do have like one of the characters kind of realizing their feelings for another one, and it was very satisfying, like kind of how he realized, because it also it was really actually kind of funny because basically this character is like, I am feeling things, what's going on, and he's talking to another character and the other character's like, oh, you're in love, and just like and he's like, what no, I'm not, and then he like goes and like starts talking to like the person he's in love with, and he's like, shoot, this is super awkward now, yeah, I'm in love. So like it was very satisfying there because it kind of it felt like they did do a lot of like build up and you kind of knew where it was coming from, but they also didn't undermine like what they established with the characters. Sort of, they had, I think, if I'm right, an anime only ending in season 1, which kind of, you know, like for the impact of the season 2 part to work, you gotta kind of ignore. But I don't know if I'm answering your question, Eddie, but I said words, so.
I think you did though.
You said words good. You said the good words, whereas I say the bad words. So good job.
Did the caveman come back?
The caveman came back.
You said words good.
You say good word.
Heart go doki doki because anime is nice.
You know, we do prepare for this podcast, everyone. we all will watch things, and then we'll be prepared to talk about the things we watched, and then we sit down, and Eddie suddenly comes up with these like English class prompts that we didn't prepare for. And just drops
there was
them
no
in her
plan
lap.
to talk about Naruto.
Yeah, that's also true. We were not planning on talking about Naruto.
I mean, is this planned? I don't think we plan
well,
our
we
episodes.
have loose preparation, and then we throw it out the window. But that's what makes
How
it fun.
loose?
Pretty loose.
Pretty loose.
Pretty loose. But that's what makes it fun. I just like blaming you.
Also, thanks for derailing from the question from Otnell's very nice points.
No asked how she did, and we said she did good.
You did great, because I feel like there is something really nice about that moment when a character's like, I'm in love? Crap. Because we did watch, me and Whimsy did watch an anime where that sort of same reaction did happen. And I feel like, in a sense, because of the way that it was written, or because of the characters, the way they're established, it felt like it didn't hit that same sort of way. And I feel like that's kind of what was disappointing about the later half of the show.
Which show?
You talk first, because you kind of set it up for a prompt, whereas I would like to talk about it more freely. So
Okay, yeah, we watched Sing Yesterday for Me, which was an anime that came out, I believe it was 2019.
Sounds right.
And it's basically about this. There's a name for it. In Japanese society, it's a person who graduates college and doesn't get a job right away. They just work part-time. And he's basically a photography student who's trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life while he's working part-time at a supermarket. The show focuses heavily on the fact that he is very much trying to figure out which direction he wants his life to take. And he ends up meeting a lot of other characters who are kind of in the same spot of they're kind of lost in trying to understand or grapple with their own lives and their own understandings of who they are as people. And one of the characters we meet...
that sounds way too relatable.
Yep.
I know.
Abort.
It's like
Abort.
the millennial anime with romance involved.
Ooh.
And he meets this one character while he's working one day. As he's setting out bentos for the crows in the neighborhood, because he's a very kind person and he doesn't like to see this food go to waste, a girl shows up and is like, hey, could I eat that ground food? And he goes, it's technically expired, right? And she's just like, I don't care. I'm hungry. And he's like, all right, fine, but don't tell anybody about this. And then from there, we get this really interesting thread of they sort of recognize that they're both in the same spot of trying to understand their place in the world.
Also, she's mildly stalking him.
Well, we won't bring that up until later. It's kind of a spoiler.
I mean, it's immediate from the very beginning, but okay.
No, don't worry about it. She's just harassing him playfully. It's playful harassment. Therefore, it's okay, especially because it's an anime.
Yeah. No, I like that character, though. I'm just...
And they sort of build from there. It feels very interesting to see that their growth as people isn't actually the same. I feel like anime gets into this model of one person changes and the other person changes in response. And I feel like that's sort of an issue when it comes to storytelling or writing. Because it feels like the growth is too uniform in that way. I feel like growth for a lot of people works in very different ways. And I feel like this anime really understood that, because it threaded that as well into the relationships that these people get into, whether romantic or not. The main character, the photography student, does actually end up going into a full career, but in this way as well, the other character who he met with, this girl, does not, at least not right away, because she has a lot of other things that stand in her path in terms of like obstacles, whether physical or mental. And it's interesting to see that like this sort of interaction of this, what one character feels almost left behind in seeing that the main character is progressing with what he wants to do with his life, and it sort of changes up their dynamic into approaching, I guess, what you would call a climax of where they want to be in the world and deciding where they want that other person to be in their lives. And I felt like that was a really interesting turn on the sort of romance genre in anime. I love the animation for this show. It's really well done. They get a lot of really minute little body language things really like on point. during the show, and I very much enjoyed it. How about you, Whimsy?
I very much enjoyed it as well. I will say, hold on. I will say that preparing for the Valentine's Day episode has been an interesting experience because I'm not much of a romance person. I do enjoy romance plots in other stories, but I typically don't watch things where romance is like the focus. So I found myself watching things and then finding other things appealing, more appealing than the romance aspects. And I think first thing yesterday for me, that was like also true. I did very much enjoy the series, but less for the romance and more for just the very well done characterizations. And like Outnow said, it was super, super relatable. Eddie kind of already said this, but every single character in this series just kind of feels stuck. And they look around at the other characters and they're like, wow, you have a lot going for you. But the person they're looking at, who seems to have a lot going for them, also feels just incredibly stuck. And it does a very good job kind of exploring the different things that hold us back. Whether it be like not knowing what we want to do with our lives, whether it be coping with a loss, whether it be coping with a loss and also feelings of sort of what's the term, inferiority to the person that you've lost. It deals with just a lot of like interesting things, and I really much enjoyed that aspect, just like the way that the characters not only are set up but then how they interact based on that. I definitely enjoyed that a lot. Regarding the actual like romance, I thought it was interesting that they spent a lot of time dealing with the relationship between two characters. And then I don't want to spoil it, but I'll just say that the show very subtly and kind of very what's the opposite of like obnoxiously, like very deftly, I guess, takes it in a different direction. And I just kind of appreciate that. I feel like it could have been done slightly better, but I almost can't talk about why without spoiling it, so I'm gonna kind of leave that up to the viewer to decide if they think it could have been slightly better in some ways. But overall, I think it was an interesting, unique take, or at least unique based on my understanding of what the romance genre is. I haven't watched a lot of romance, but based on the tropes and just the general narrative, I think it was a very kind of different take on that kind of story.
And not now. Have you watched this anime? I don't think we've asked that actually.
No, I haven't. I haven't. I feel like I might have heard of it before. Because, like, or at least I feel like I've heard of, like, oh, it's, like, very relatable, like, Gen Z / millennial, like, show kind of thing.
What is the point of existing?
Yeah, but I also acknowledge that there's at least one or two others that I know have come out as of late that did try to explore some of those related concepts, so I might be thinking about those ones too. Another show that is also like kind of like a romance that I kind of like discusses some of like those like finding yourself, but also like also having the romance thing going on is Honey and Clover. Mind you, it's been a while since I watched Honey and Clover, so I'm gonna forget things. But one of the things that happens there is that one of the characters, he's in college, and I forget why, but he's like, I'm going on a journey, and so he basically goes and travels all of Japan. And I believe when he comes back, he's like, I'm going to confess my feels, but like the whole point of his journey was to kind of find himself and find more of like what he like more of an understanding of himself. And I think like honestly I'd like to see more shows try to like tackle that concept, the like trying to like journey through and try to understand just life, because it is a very hard thing to mentally comprehend. Love is a hard thing to mentally comprehend as well, but at least there's I think a lot more shows out there that try to tackle it in some regard. It's a different question if if like a lot of those shows do it well. Um but there's a lot. I think there's been a lot more attempt to try to do like those explorations of love compared to that exploration of self beyond. Get into the mecha, Shinji. Why aren't you getting into the mecha?
I feel like bringing up Evangelion at all in a Valentine's Day episode is dangerous.
What do you mean? That's the most romantic anime I've ever seen. Oh god. Even saying that made me Okay, heart, I get it. That was not a good sentence to say. Okay. My heart did the.
Yeah.
What is the opposite of Doki Doki?
The ouchie ouchie.
No, not gonna say that.
Heart
No.
attack.
Yeah, no, it is not a heart attack. Oh my god. Oh my god, no.
Somebody call an ambulance.
I'm having an attack of the heart.
And you're too late.
I'm having an attack on my Doki
Attack
Doki.
on Hearten.
Oh no. No.
This is what
No.
we've devolved to, more puns.
Oh no. I will have to say though that I agree with you on now. Like I feel like parts of the idea behind that, like the journey in itself, I feel like a lot of anime don't really focus on that because it's more so straightforward and like the romance anime, so it must be about the romance. And I feel like leaving out a lot of that character growth, I feel like steals a lot from the relationships that eventually come to fruition in those types of anime.
I think that's why I don't like the romance genre, but I like romance in other genres. For that exact thing you just said.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't paint anything with a broad brush. Like, there are definitely romances where the characters are very well developed and there's just a lot behind the scenes and a lot of depth to it. But there are also a lot of series where things kind of just become the very hollow, like, tropes or, like, based on the expectations of there will be this character and there will be these characters and then there will be love and triangles and quadrangles and you're not biologically related, so therefore it's okay, and a lot of that. So I don't know. Like, I'm probably gonna make a lot of people mad. I'm sure there's lots of great things in the romance things. I've just found a barrier to entry. But I always seem to say things like that, so everyone just yell at me in the comments as always. But I got really off of what I was saying. The point I was trying to say is I tend to prefer romance plots in other things because the other things are already going for them. And so the character depth that was written for the purpose of whatever other genre or story it's trying to tell kind of gives the romance more shades and like more depth in a lot of cases. But I also recognize that there are probably so many exceptions to what I'm saying that it's barely valid. So hooray. I wish I could start that over.
No, you should. I definitely agree. I feel like in a sense that's part of the reason why I enjoy the idea and like the progression of Naruto and Hinata's relationship. You understand Naruto is not a romance show in any regard. What are you talking about? It's not. It's not. Don't look at me.
I don't know.
Confused right now.
The guy with the, what's his name? The guy with the Sharingan? The
Sasuke?
No, not Sasuke. The
Sharingan.
Sensen? Oh my god, the sensei. Oh my god, the sensei.
Kakashi
Sensei. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. He seems to enjoy his romance novels.
Those aren't romance novels.
They're ecchi, right?
They're ecchi novels about a guy.
Written by Jiraiya.
Yeah,
Okay,
written
so
by Jiraiya.
it's a
He's
nice.
one of the least romantic people ever.
So
Yes.
no, what I'm saying though is that Naruto is a very nice romance anime about a man and his ecchi novels. And the love they share.
You know, that is not incorrect. I don't think Kakashi gets married. So he is in love with his romance novels, yes. Not ecchi novels.
They fill that void.
I feel really bad for that. Okay, back to the point I was trying to make before we got off on Kakashi and his ecchi novels. I feel like it's part of the reason why I really like the progression of Naruto and Hinata's relationship, especially in Boruto, because it feels like one of the only relationships within the show that has come to any sort of resolution in some way. And when it depicts the relationship in the aftermath of like the events of Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, it genuinely feels like they're bonded to one another. Like even in the way that their kids interact and the way they interact with their children, it feels very much so like they've grown as people and their relationship has come to a mutual understanding of where they each reside in the world. And it's
So
very
classic then?
What was that?
Is Boruto a classic then? Because it sounds like they do great character development.
I would have to say that I have some various issues with Boruto and like the types of writing and ideas that are brought up in the show. Don't get me wrong, I love the fact that Naruto's son is just looks up at his dad, who is like literally like the ninja god Jesus with the cursed fox jutsu lord with the double eye secret blood technique, and he's like, how am I ever gonna live up to my dad? Oh, I get it. I'll just lie and cheat and steal. That way I can be just as powerful as my dad.
Cool.
In a way, he did inherit his dad's legacy of just feeling inferior and trying to compensate.
I know, but it's about his own dad, which I feel like in a sense they deal with a little bit better than I guess like some things in Naruto did, because it genuinely feels like it hampers him in his life, but in that same sort of like, I hate my dad because he's so big and strong and I want to be just like him, but how? How could I possibly do that? I'm just actually a regular person. Which I feel like is really sad, because you think about it, Naruto's idea of wanting to become the most respected and powerful person sort of alienated his own children. And that, I feel like that depicts a very crucial character moment in that series. Wow. Okay, you know what? I retract some criticisms of Boruto's writing. I feel like genuinely probably my favorite thing is the character progression. So I would definitely agree with your point. There's another character in there who is related to Orochimaru, and he is actually one of my favorite cases of character progression in that series. I genuinely really enjoy a lot of that character's development and the ideas surrounding his writing. If you know who that is, like and subscribe, please. I love that character.
I'm everything about Orochimaru having a kid. The fact that he lived long enough to have a kid after all the events in Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. The heck. God dang it.
I hope you know that Orochimaru is actually a way better parent than even Sasuke is, just to add genuine salt to the wounds.
Let's be honest here. Orochimaru at least paid attention to people. Sasuke never did. So that actually sounds on point.
When a literal snake demon man is a better parent than you, a person who had his entire family die and then decided to get married, I guess, and then have a child, I guess, that you barely ever see, that you barely ever get to know for reasons.
I mean, that's about what I expect based on these characters as children.
Yeah, you would think that Sasuke would try to do a little bit better, but no. It's actually very sad. It's like, you know how Batman is depicted as like this character where he's just so resolute in everything that he has, but they never really talk about the fact that other than Alfred, he doesn't really ever do things as a person, like for himself, like as to regard his relationships with people or like a family in any way. He's just kind of alone. And so, like, I guess passionate about his thirst to stop crime because his family died, that he never really creates a family around him. I mean, I have a very limited scope of like the really early Batman comics. It's just the opinion on that. But it's kind of like that with Sasuke. It's like he's so focused on what he has to make up for that he sort of ignores everything else that should matter to him.
He's so focused on undoing the past, he brings it into the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Wow.
This was supposed to be a romance episode, right?
This is a romance episode.
This is more like the anime character therapy episode, honestly.
This is a romance.
Okay.
We're talking about how Sasuke doesn't have a good relationship with his kids because he's a father.
Okay, this is the second time I'm gonna have to censor you and do a beep. So you are now kicked off. Goodbye. Eddie is no longer a member of this podcast.
Bye.
We're breaking up. He.
That is not a good thing to say
Just
about
for Valentine's Day.
I'm sorry. That was awful. Okay, where were we again?
Naruto?
Still Naruto, yes,
We're talking
yes.
about character progression.
Uh,
Another anime that we sort of watched too that had a very interesting progression in terms of characters, even though it was very short, was Golden Boy.
oh yeah. Hold on.
Like a person going on a journey to find self.
No, I get it. Sorry, hold on. I need a second. Hold on. This whole episode has felt very tinky. My brain is like, okay. Give me this. I need to drink the water.
Okay.
I have no clue what just happened.
You just heard the sound of Whimsy's brain imploding.
As it tends to do. But yeah, Golden Boy, you kind of made me think of Golden Boy too when you were talking about that anime. No, because it does follow sort of a similar idea of a person going on just various journeys and tasks and activities to find himself. But it's definitely not a romance series. It's much more of an ecchi series, which I know can tie into each other. But in this case, I would say they're very distinct. But it could be interesting to think about kind of the why. I guess to break it down like the way Eddie said before, it's very much not a series where the point is at the end they get together. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. It's that yes, he's attracted to all these women, and yes, eventually they would like to get together with him, but he just has literally just no attention span. Like that's my way to put it. And it's like he's just like on to the next thing. So I guess that kind of like sort of prevents it from being a romance series, but on purpose, if that makes sense. Well, you were the one, Eddie, though, who subtly prompted me to talk about Golden Boy. So how would you say this fits into the conversation?
I would say it fits very well. I feel like that what I was talking about before, or we sort of talked about before, in like romance series being sort of centered on the idea of like two characters recognizing each other. I feel like it's really interesting in that Golden Boy, his idea was always to be recognized by the women he loved and was attracted to, right? But it was like in the moment that he stepping up and learning new things or new tasks or new skills in order to do that, that experience in itself is what he desired out of that relationship, not the actual relationship. And what was always really interesting is that he always screwed something up or did something wrong, and leading into the climax of the arc in every episode is that he eventually fixed or did something that proved how sincere and how simple-minded he was in just attempting to do something good or do something right, that they eventually recognized that past all of his idiocy and weirdness and general like strange things about his personality, he was genuinely a good person. And it was always really funny that these characters, these women, were always like, oh, I'm so in love with him now because I recognize that he was just genuinely trying to be a nice person. And then they chase after him as he runs into the hills screaming Benkyo, which means I must study, or I love studying, in a very short form. That series was insane. It was very zany series.
It was a fun watch for sure. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. And I wouldn't describe it as romance. It sort of had that same romance feeling in various parts.
But it had some setups of like romance tropes, but they just decided not to go that direction. Yeah.
It definitely was more interested in leaning into the ecchi side of things for sure.
Yeah, instead of actually basing it. What was really interesting is that it ended up that way because of that direction too. I feel like if it wasn't that the main character was so interested in just gaining new experiences and new skills in his own life in order to discover what kind of person he wanted to be in the end, it would have just been a normal traditional harem anime, and I feel like that would have made it a lot less interesting. Would you agree, Whimsy?
Yeah, I guess I would agree with that. Although less interesting is definitely subjective. Some people do genuinely enjoy their sort of standard harem anime. It's definitely not something that I can get into as much, which is why I kind of just prefer the general comedy side of Golden Boy. And the comedy side that the ecchi elements kind of bring out. But some people do genuinely like their harem, and that's acceptable. Yeah, I would say, but I agree with you though that it's definitely what made it more interesting for like me personally.
I just realized that I should have totally watched a harem anime in preparation for this episode. I did not.
That's okay. because I attempted to read some harem anime instead.
Please tell us about that.
But no, sorry, now, was there something you want to talk about, though, before I...
Oh, you go. You're the one that did the harems.
Okay, no,
So
I
bring
didn't.
us into the harem.
I didn't do the harems. The key word there was attempted.
Wait, why? What happened?
So I was like trying to think about how to prepare for the anime episode because I genuinely was like, this isn't my cup of tea, but I want to give things a try. I want to be open-minded. I want to, and to be fair, I probably could find a lot of things that I like. But I was very time crunched. So instead of trying to watch different series, after we finished Sing Yesterday for me, I decided to read, and to like just pick up some new manga. So apparently I'm not getting close enough to the mic. So the first one I decided would be a good idea to read, or start reading, I should say, was Love Hina. And the reason I chose Love Hina was because, along with being in the romance sort of harem genre, it's a series that I have a little bit of history with. A mutual friend of me and Aunt No's got me into Love Hina when I was younger. So when I was like a teenager and I sort of had those kid glasses, like it was something that I absolutely loved and I got really into it. Never finished it, but while I was into it, I was very into it, and me and this friend like would crack up laughing talking about it, and we were very just excited about it. So I was like, okay, at the very least, maybe this will tap into sort of that nostalgia. And so I started reading Love Hina, and if you don't know, Love Hina is about a college-age guy who has a memory of when he was a lot younger. There was a girl who, it was kind of like they were little kids, and she was just like, oh man, someday we're gonna grow up and get married. Well, after you go to Tokyo University, we're gonna get in Tokyo University together and fall in love, yay! So it was sort of this like memory he had of this sort of childhood fantasy of growing up and falling in love and going to Tokyo University with her. And for some reason this stuck in his mind and just became his life goal that he never really let go of. He didn't know this woman anymore, like this girl. This girl wasn't somebody who continued being in his life, but he still was just like, someday we're gonna meet at Tokyo U. But the catch is that he just keeps failing repeatedly, and he just can't seem to get into Tokyo U, like the top university of Japan. And so his parents kick him out because he's a failure, basically. And he ends up instead going to stay with his grandmother, who owns a hot spring hotel that is actually a girls' dormitory. It'd be nice if I could speak. Dormitory. Because of course it is. So that's kind of the setup. He goes to this girl's dormitory, doesn't expect it to be full of like women. Ecchi, hijink, oopsie things ensue. The girls get mad at him because he just keeps getting into these accidental oopsie moments. You know how these series go, right? So as I was reading it, like, there was a tiny bit of nostalgia just because it was like, oh, I remember finding this funny. Like, oh, I remember finding this funny. But like, I don't know. I just personally didn't really like have the same experience. I ended up not wanting to read more of it just because there were some things that made me a bit uncomfortable that I don't really want to get into. So I'll just leave it at that. But I will say, one thing I will comment on though, this wasn't why I stopped reading it, but I will say that this is kind of like a funny, not barrier, because it wouldn't stop me from reading these anime, but like definitely like it impacts my experience of it, is the sort of trope where a lot of harem anime's comedy comes from misunderstandings. You know, like something is misunderstood and the anime protagonist's intent was this, but it turns out it's interpreted in this way, or he falls into this silly situation. Some of that genuinely triggers my anxiety. Like, to give you an example, it's not even like in the ecchi sense, it's in the they misunderstand and think he's a Tokyo University student, and they all go, oh man, you're a Tokyo University student? That's so cool, you must be so smart, you should tutor us, right? That misunderstanding, just for some reason, made me so anxious because I'm like, they're gonna be mad when they find out that he's not a Tokyo University student. And like, the response to that is, well, yeah, duh, that's the joke, that's the bit. But like, as somebody who really doesn't like to be misunderstood and will over-explain myself, that literally just was like, oh, this makes me anxious. And I know that's not rational, but I feel like that might be something that just bugs me in this genre. That's so based on misunderstandings as comedy. Is it like instead of finding them funny, they'll just make me anxious because I'll just want to explain it. Like I'll just want to be like, no, but this was the actual intention, and no, but tell them this way. Like explain it this way. Why aren't you telling them this? Now they're gonna think this. I just sit there like projecting my own anxiety. Um, but yeah, that was my experience reading like the first chapter and a half of Love Hina. Woo!
Yay.
Only the first chapter and a half. Wow, that is
Yeah.
record time.
I ran into something that just made me go, don't really want to read this. I also tried Domestic Girlfriend.
We should probably mention real quickly before you go with that.
Okay,
that Domestic
okay.
Girlfriend is known
Yeah.
for being very risque,
Spicy.
spicy.
And I don't mind spicy, and I thought maybe it would be a fun meme, so, and I have heard Giga gush about it, like, thousands of gazillions of times, and do an interesting interview of its mangaka. So, I was like, you know what? Since it's gonna be the Valentine's Day episode, I might as well pick this up and try it out. Wasn't my thing, but I'm not hating on it or anything. And then the one that I started that Eddie suggested that I do think I'm going to stick to, because I did genuinely enjoy the first 2 chapters. Didn't have time to read anymore because, I don't know, we were up against a deadline. But, was called The World God Only Knows. And I think what made me like this series, I'll detail what it's about in a second, but what I think made me enjoy this series is that it's more just like lighthearted and wacky, and it's not trying to be like a harem series or like a serious like romance. It's not like a drama. I wouldn't even put it really in the drama genre, at least not based on my initial experience. It's more just like a lighthearted, wacky thing that kind of like pokes fun at certain tropes. So to explain the concept, The World God Only Knows is a series about a boy in high school who is absolutely obsessed with dating simulator games. Like completely obsessed. He is the god of the dating sims. He has beaten every single one, and not only has he beaten every single one, but he like blogs about it online, and people message him asking him for tips, like, how do I beat this game? How do I beat this game? So he's like the god of the dating simulators. I think they call him the love god or something. And there's this wacky misunderstanding where in hell, there is like these devils who hunt down spirits or something, and the spirits creep into like the holes in people's hearts. So in order to exorcise the spirits from the holes in people's hearts, you know, they have to have the person fall in love. The way that hole is closed and the spirit is forced out. So this is like kind of the thing that these devils do, and the devils heard about this really powerful god of love that they need to like team up with in order to exorcise these spirits from people's hearts. So the kind of boss, one of the boss devils, is like, hey, you useless devil who's not very competent, this is your last chance. Go find and team up with this god of love and exorcise spirits, otherwise, you know, you're out. So she goes, oh, okay, well, this doesn't sound too bad. He's a god, right? Like, this'll work out. So she goes and she finds this like teenage kid who has his glasses and his little game and handheld game, and who's like, I have no interest in real life. And she goes, hey you're gonna like you're gonna go woo that girl over there. And he's just like, shut up, heathen. I have no interest in the reality woman. I only like the virtual woman who is superior. Get out of my face. And so they kind of play on that trope of like 3D girls. Psh, I only do the 2D woman. And they do that kind of silly and wacky and quirky. But what I think kind of sets us apart from the other series that I've like kind of seen talked about, just so far based on my initial experiences, is in addition to that kind of trope where it's like, you know, the virtual world is superior and reality is bleh. They kind of start playing with this idea of, do the tactics that work in dating simulators actually work on women in real life? And I know that can sound kind of pickup artistry. I promise it doesn't come across as creepy at all. It comes just across as like really innocent and cute. because I think of the like sort of wacky context. But like I'm really curious to see kind of where that goes because it worked the first time, but I'm really curious to see kind of the main character's psychology when it doesn't work. Like when you can't apply like game logic to real life and when he's just not comfortable functioning in real life. I'm really curious and looking forward to seeing like how he functions or doesn't and how he copes with the fact that, you know, he may be the god of love in these games, but he is the absolute not god of life once he steps outside of them. So I am looking forward to that. And also the series just seems very cute and lighthearted and fun, and I've been really enjoying it so far. So yes, too long didn't read version is there was one thing that I liked and prepared for this episode. Woo!
Yay! It's arguably one of my favorites. So
yeah, why don't you talk
really
about what
glad
you
you
like
enjoyed
about it, why you suggested it, why you and why you thought I would like it since I'm not much of a romance person.
I thought that you would like it because it is one of those anime that's definitely I hope you know it's a harem manga.
That's okay.
In itself.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting in the fact that the main character has no desire for any relationships whatsoever. None. Zero. He instead tricks all of these women into falling in love with him to fill the holes in their hearts. But I feel like in a sense as well, the general idea in trying to fix that or do that is to have them realize something within themselves that they've been ignoring or having trouble understanding that was causing those issues in the first place. And I feel like that's part of the really interesting thing about The World God Only Knows is that as much as it focuses on the romance aspect, because it's a anime where a main character reenacts scenes from dating simulator games in order to resolve some sort of supernatural conflict, it doesn't feel like the general like the genre that it exists in.
I'm okay with it being a harem anime though, because like I want to clarify something. When I say that I don't like harem anime, or when I say that I don't like this genre or that genre, that isn't me being closed-minded. I like finding those series that prove me wrong, or I like finding those series that make me like something I don't typically like. So, like so far, I'm very intrigued by the series, and I look forward to, I don't know, maybe getting my gateway into the harem genre. I mean, I recently had a gateway into the slice of life genre, so I just become more weeb by the day, I guess, which is great and fun. But sorry, I didn't mean to derail from your thing. I just wanted to make that clarification.
No, you're fine. Because it was either going to be this, or I was deciding whether or not to show you Kaguya-sama Love is War, which is a similar series that takes a spin on the love genre, in which two characters are tsundere, and they have to figure out strategies in their daily lives of working as the student council for this high school of how to trick the other one into confessing. And it's a really funny, like, wacky battleground of high school type scenario where they each do things to appeal to the other person in non-obvious ways that cause the other person to fall in love with them, but they're already both in love with each other. Have you heard of this anime on now?
I have. I have not seen the show. I have seen most of the movie though. They had the movie available when I was flying to Japan in the year that may have happened, 2020. But it wasn't available on my way back, so I didn't get to finish it.
Oh man.
So, but I was near the finish line. But it was very amusing, like kind of seeing the back and forth that was happening. It actually, the shows is kind of going in a different direction. It actually, I was thinking about that show when I was watching one of the shows that I was watching to prepare for this episode, which is His and Her Circumstances, which to kind of give you the premise, they're like you've got this girl that's used to being like the center of attention and everyone loving her and, you know, top of the class and that kind of thing, until she gets to high school and someone surpasses her, and so she hates his guts because he's better than her at like everything, so she like starts working harder, and but like she's also like trying to put up this like shield of like, oh, I'm like the super perfect person still. um and like he thinks that that's her and ends up like falling in love with her and like confessing, but then she turns him down, and then he finds out that she's like just kind of a like slobby at home, and like just kind of like not like this perfect person that she was in school. So then he starts blackmailing her so that they
Okay,
can spend more
What?
time together.
that took a turn.
But basically, like, it like at first it just kind of felt like, okay, what you're setting up is kind of like these two kind of fighting with each other, like on like the romance level, like, oh, so you might care for me, but you're not like showing it, but I'm gonna, I don't know. It reminded me at first, but then it kind of goes into a different direction after the first two episodes. um I also, my friend that recommended this show to me is most, if she hears this, is most likely going to kill me because she's going to say it's a terrible summary of the show. But but it's, yeah, but like it kind of like that like perspective, at least in the beginning, like it's your move to try to do something, and like and that kind of aspect to it of like trying to like strategize around someone else's feelings that you feel like are present or whatever. It did kind of remind me of Kaguya, because like in like Kaguya, like they're always like, oh yeah, this other person loves me, I don't doubt it, but I'm like gonna kind of manipulate around that a bit, from at least from the movie. um yeah, also this series, like, I don't know, like the summary that I gave, and like I was kind of surprised because like based on what you heard, like don't you feel like that's like a story that you could imagine like coming out today or pretty recently? I guess I'm not saying a huge amount, but like when do you think that this series came out? What do you guess?
I would
I don't know
definitely.
if like I'm saying enough for you to like even like get a sense of it, honestly. We
Well,
might have to cut
based.
this out.
Oh, you first, Eddie.
I was gonna say it definitely sounds like a more recent thing because I feel like what's been really interesting is seeing the ways in which the genres of anime have kind of turned in on themselves and sort of recognize like the normal standpoints or like the normal like things that happen in a genre and kind of turn them on their head. Like I feel like that's what I really liked about Kaguya-sama too, was that you know that moment in the anime where two characters see each other and they in recognizing each other, you get that doki doki reaction of like, "Aw." That happens. It never happens in Kaguya because they're always in a combative stance toward each other's affection and trying to win it. But instead, you get all these moments where the narrator describes who won that day, and it's just this moment of like, this character was trying so hard to do this thing to win the other one over, and they fell asleep, and the other character came in and was going to argue with them about it, but then they saw that they were asleep and they're like, he's so helpless when he's asleep. And then it goes, he won that day because she had that moment where she was like, he looks so innocent. Aww.
Aww.
And that happens almost every episode. So it's like it's sort of turning itself on the genre. It is like almost mastered the idea behind what situations create the most like doki doki rating.
I think I'd like that one because it almost reminds me of another series that I can't believe we didn't think of when we were trying to decide what to watch, and I'll get to that in a second. But to answer your question, not Kaguya-sama Love is War, but the other one. As far as how old it is, I am guessing it's not that new based on how you framed the question, but it does sound new. I agree, especially like sort of the blackmail thing. I don't know what it is about like anime recently, but there's this whole thing in the romance genre I've been observing from like YouTube videos of people talking about series where the protagonist is just like a huge jerk, and that's like the bit. But like, okay, how old is it? Oh, now.
98.
Okay.
Oh wow. Okay, that is way earlier than I thought it would be. I actually really like to think about like when certain series started influencing others. Do you think that would be probably like the earliest example of that sort of like idea showing up in the romance genre for anime?
This is like one of the farthest back I've gone for like this kind of thing, so I really don't know. But it felt kind of like fresh. Like, wait a second, like you're doing this now. Like I could really see this like happening today. This kind of like plot line. I will say that I did watch it to prep for this episode a series that was a bit older, but it's trying to do something absolutely different. And uh that series Revolutionary Girl Utena,
Yes.
that's completely different.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it would even like consider trying to go in any sort of similar direction as his and her circumstances. But yeah, I don't know if this series is considered influential or not. I had heard of it before my friend had recommended it to me for preparing for this podcast, but like it's definitely not uh as famous as like the Basket of Fruits or the Skipping of Beats or those kind of shows.
Oh yeah,
For
we
sure.
still haven't even talked about it.
What haven't we talked about?
Okay, sorry. Go ahead out now. Continue. It just occurred to me that you prepared and then didn't talk about it at all. But
What are you
go ahead
talking
out now.
No, wait. What?
Oh,
Basket of
that's
fruits?
basically all I'm saying about that.
Oh, okay. Um. Yeah, I feel like we talked a lot about how romance anime sort of has like turned it on its head, as well as like certain other genres have sort of adapted aspects of romance anime in their character development and sort of like gained a lot of ground or movement with that in making their characters and the relationships more interesting. I guess we should probably cover what we would describe maybe as like what would we see as like the bricks in the base of romance anime. I would definitely, in my opinion, I think Fruit Basket or Basket of Fruits is probably one of the first romance anime I actually ever watched. And in preparing for this episode as well, I actually completely, I'm in all honesty, I'm not kidding. I forgot how Fruits Basket ended, which is really funny considering the plotline of that anime.
Wait, are you talking about the newest? Like the newest anime, or did you
No,
read the manga?
I was rewatching the old one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so I was
I
watching the anime, and I remember that there is a actual amnesia plot line within the show. It is a very standard aspect of how events in the show center around and like move around, and how they involve other characters and their plot lines. But I actually completely forgot how Fruits Basket ended before. And I still don't. I actually didn't finish rewatching it. I was going to rewatch that and then watch the newer series.
uh because for the most part it did stay accurate to the manga. But yeah, it involves Kyo and his bracelet basically, if that helps.
I I feel like my memory's been wiped, which is very in line with how the show works. So,
Mhm.
And very in line with the lore that we wrote about A.N.I.M.E earlier today.
oh my god, wait. Now?
Hello.
What?
Are you Kyo?
Kyo doesn't Kyo's not the one that erases memories. You do realize that.
Wait, who
Wow, way to
Wait.
not know your lore.
wait. I
You're terrible.
No.
You're a terrible lore master.
I am.
You're fired.
I
Kyo's the cat
accept-
man. He does not erase memories.
Okay.
Mind you, I'm teaching you about Fruits Basket, and I have not watched it. I have not like consumed any content of Fruits Basket in like 10 years. So this is concerning that I'm out fruit basketing you.
Yeah, this is like when you do your homework, but very poorly.
I guess so. Wait,
Yeah.
what was the character's name? It's Akito. I'm very bad with the names.
I'm pretty sure it's the dragon that erases, and
Akio.
I believe his name is Haru or something.
No, it's the main
He was my
character's name.
favorite character. He was, and now I'm not certain about his name.
It seems all our memories have been wiped of Fruits Basket. It is.
No, no, you don't understand. I really
No.
liked that doctor character though, because he was my favorite character, and he was also my he. I how can I say this without getting murdered online? My favorite couple was him and the person that he ends up with. Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay.
I will not delve any further into thoughts about couples and Fruits Basket. Also because I haven't watched it in like 10 years. So
Are you saying you've forgotten, or that the memories themselves have been erased from your mind?
I don't want to respond to that.
We're
really
so
don't.
deep in this conspiracy that even the god has amnesia now. I want you to know that.
I hope you know that amnesia is like a main point. Wait, I've said that before. Oh my god, wait, did I forget that I said that? What are we talking about?
I don't know.
You know, this
Romance
romance
anime.
episode is going perfectly, right?
I love that we talked about Naruto for like 50% of it.
Oh my goodness. And you know what? I haven't even said really anything about like a couple of the series that I was expecting to mention. Hattori. Yeah, Hattori
Oh, yeah,
is the
the
character.
horse. Yes.
He is my fave, and I believe he's the one that does do the erasing of memories.
I believe so.
Oh yeah. It's his job to erase the memories of those who discover the Suo clan secret.
Okay.
So, it is not clear if it's hypnosis or more of a supernatural power. That's actually an interesting idea because, like, if it, like, actually, never mind. I'm not gonna go any further.
No, yeah, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it.
No. I was just like, no, actually, no. I do remember how the manga ends, so that's kind of like why I'm stopping myself here.
If you want to know more of Otnau's point, just say a prayer and Otnau the god will project this thought process into your mind.
Okay, this is a perfect transition for me to talk about another series that is a romance one that I've mentioned before. I feel like because I still think that it's kind of like breaking some barriers, and I've been literally doing a book club with some of my friends on for the novel of this series, which is quite good. Heaven's Official Blessing. I'm gonna bring up that one again. Mostly because you're talking. There's a whole thing with like one of the characters where apparently he challenged a bunch of gods, and the gods were super like, oh yeah, we're gonna win, hoof hoof hoof. So we're gonna like project ourselves into the dreams of our followers, and then like the guy that challenged like these bunch of like gods soundly beat all of them, and that led to all of the followers of these gods like losing their followers and basically like, you know, becoming impoverished because like they were so cocky.
Did you watch Vinland Saga and really enjoy the daddy issues? Well, what if I told you we've got even more daddy issues? Neon Genesis Evangelion. Daddy issues upon daddy issues upon daddy issues. You'll be transcended into a whole new plethora of people all coming together to celebrate their daddy issues.
I feel like there's a lot of really interesting things that happen when you bring in less human characters into a series. And I feel like in having them react in human ways, it's always really interesting to see that sort of dynamic happen. And with that, I think we'll actually transition to a pop segment that I've been planning all along. Wow, I prepared something. I hope you're all ready.
Oh no.
Ha 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 ha.
The prompts have not gone well so far. What are you going to throw at us
oh,
now?
No.
Don't put me on the spot.
Right. Yeah, you're going first
Ah!
because you said that. Honey, something that's been going around social media a lot is people talking about their favorite ship dynamics in either shows, manga, anime, movies. What would you say is your favorite ship dynamic?
Oh, that's easy. Um, so my favorite ship dynamic is when two people just have such totally incomprehensibly different worldviews, yet they still manage to just like have a deep bond and just broaden each other's worlds. So the primary example of like my favorite, not even necessarily a ship dynamic because I didn't actually like when these two people became a couple, but just like relationship dynamic is like Booth and Bones. Even though Bones has a lot of flaws as a show, I absolutely love the characters of Booth and Bones, their contrast and their dynamics. And sort of like the very fascinating ways that they look at the world in such through such starkly different lenses makes for some genuinely beautiful character interactions, and their romantic relationship would have also been good if it hadn't been set up in just like the worst way it could have possibly ever been written. But that aside, Booth and Bones, that sort of dynamic for sure.
Oh, wow.
Thank you for giving me an easy one.
You're welcome. Now, what would you say is your favorite ship dynamic in any piece of media you've consumed?
This is hilarious because I'm gonna go back to Heaven's Official Blessing because like me and my friends were like having a discussion like last week about like what is the actual dynamic here, and the two dynamics that like were pointed to as like potentials for the dynamic in the series, I think kind of represent like the two that I really like. So the first one that was like suggested was like basically the idea of like one of the people has very like low self-esteem or is not as confident, but the other person kind of like still loves them and sees past that and tries to like help them grow or like supports them anyways. I like that kind of dynamic. And then the other one, which the way I describe it, it's going to be very similar, is like the kind of character that's like not just like low self-esteem, like I can't do anything, but like the kind that's like I don't deserve like things because I'm not good enough or whatever. And then like that other person kind of opening them up and kind of seeing like, no, you deserve good things, you deserve like to be happy, and that kind of thing. So they're very closely connected, I guess. But yeah. And my example is Heaven's Official Blessing.
I feel like that's very appropriate. But yeah, I really like that ship too.
Yeah. I feel like the way I describe these two things are very similar, but maybe I'll include like the like two Twitter like kind of images that were being used to describe these two things, because I think it's more obvious if you see them like the difference that's involved in these two relationships, but I'm not really describing it well. Mm-hmm. But like yeah, I really like that like very supportive kind of relationship. Like that kind of like I will make you better, or I will like support you in your pursuits. And it's very interesting because I think that a lot of animes don't get to that point completely, where that there's really like that full relationship where like the support is completely there because of like they stop too early or whatever. Like often like the characters don't quite end up as a couple, so often you don't get to that point where like you're just like a super supportive couple kind of thing, or like or you get the character, that one character, and I have an example in mind of this where they just kind of they go overboard and then they become like no, you can't do anything, like because I need to protect my super special snowflake, and like because you're too fragile or whatever, and then that really annoys me, and then I want to punch that person. Yeah. There's a very specific anime I'm thinking about this, and I'm kind of afraid to say it because it's actually pretty popular. But yeah.
No, do it. Start the flame wars. Hey, if you disagree with our opinions, like, comment, and subscribe. That'll show us. Oh no.
Oh no. All right. Okay. I'll save you out now. Oh, do you want to say it?
It's Maid-sama, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so to quickly derail before they yell at you, no, don't yell. She's nice. Eddie, what about you? What's your favorite dynamic?
My favorite ship dynamic I would have to say is where one character is so oppressively cold in their personality or their mindset for like a very long time, and they just meet this giant goofball who slowly melts their exterior until they eventually just recognize how much they've given up by being that cut off from the world.
Also,
Um,
green eggs and ham.
yeah, wait, hold on. Wait a second. No, I'm not gonna look up ship fan art for this.
Also, don't clarify how that's relevant. They don't need to know the previous conversation we're having.
If you we
Nope.
don't want to give out spoilers.
That's context.
We don't want to give out spoilers for green eggs and ham. That would be terrible of us.
Or is deep. You don't
Oh,
understand.
man, no.
There's a tragic backstory for the green eggs.
No.
Yeah.
No.
This is clearly an inside joke. You're not in the know, audience.
I don't know.
Are we in the know? Okay.
I mean, what?
Anyway.
Was his family on the way to go eat green eggs and ham before they were hit by a truck? Because I don't.
I just need to clarify.
Oh, now it's the Isekai episode.
No, it's not the isekai episode. I would have to say probably my favorite example of my favorite ship has a couple of different specific points in my mind. I would have to say, though, in light of avoiding as much spoilers as possible for the series that I enjoy, my favorite example is probably two characters from Dorohedoro. It is Shin, and it is, I messed this up because I was trying to think of this character's name the entire time I brought up this question, and I can't.
You have a phone.
I'm not going to look it up in the middle of the podcast. That'd be blasphemy, I say, as I type into my phone right now.
Do you remember that you had one?
I just did. Now, I had to say the quality of this amnesia technique hypnosis is not very good. It takes hold at very different random moments.
The way she asked that, like, did you remember? I think she's testing it right now.
Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I think she's trying to write a patch.
Oh, is that what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
She's running.
Wait,
she's running an
patch.
She's running an experiment.
Patch notes.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. I thought that my program was written in Swift. It turns out that it was written in Golang the whole time.
Oh no, that's some programming thing. Hey, if you like that joke, like and subscribe and comment how much you like that programming joke.
I like the like and subscribe bit. Good job.
It's Shinonoi. I know. If you like Dorohedoro, flame me in the comments for forgetting literally my favorite character's name. I'm sorry.
How dare you?
I know.
Don't you worry. If I tried to pronounce a single character in Heaven's official blessing, it would be bad. So you know, at least you can most likely pronounce the character's name when you find out reasonably.
And at least you could say the word sensei.
What did you say earlier?
Sensen. But like,
Sensen, notice me.
No, it was the thing where multiple words were all in my head at the same time, so I like combined them. I don't remember what the other word was that turned into sen, but it just came out very wrong.
Oh, okay. Oh, speaking of remembering, did we remember to end the podcast?
Oh, yeah. We are at an hour and a half. We don't want to end up with a two-parter like last time because we recorded for 2.5 hours.
At least give us the name.
I did. It's Noe and Shin. Wait, why am I saying that? Wait, why are we talking about Noe and Shin?
I don't know. I guess we're not, because it's the end. Happy Valentine's Day!
Happy White Day!
Wife Day?
Wait, it's Valentine's
White
Day?
Wait, what is White Day?
Eddie, you explain it.
What is White Day?
Did we end the podcast?
No, explain this first. I want to know what that is.
Oh, White Day's the day that, what is it? That men in Japan receive chocolate from, women.
Oh, cool.
So usually in high schools, it's all the high school girls get together and give chocolate to the people that they like, or the people in their family that they like, that they love.
So if you're listening to this, ladies, it isn't just your boyfriend who should give you chocolate. You could give him chocolate too. You could have a chocolate exchange. Sounds really nice.
Wait, is U.S. the culture that only men give chocolates? I thought it was everyone gave chocolates all the time.
Wait, is it? Wait,
Um,
is that the reason?
it's kind of both, because like in schools, everyone gives everyone chocolate, but like traditionally in relationships, it's the guy gets the girl chocolate in the U.S.
Oh,
Do you want chocolate?
I mean, we always get each other chocolate because
Because you have to
we're
wait until the day after.
yeah, when it's cheaper. No, that's fine. I'm not talking about us. We already break all the rules anyway. Um, but on that note, happy Valentine's / White Day, everybody.
Don't forget to click the stop recording button.
Goodbye.